I might insinuate some of my own opinions and feelings regarding certain stories other than my own with what I say during these intros, and I'm fully aware of that. I might sound hypocritical because I did say that I would like to try to steer clear from expressing my qualms and most negativity really, but I'm trying to adhere to these rules at least to an extent by not delving into those implications. It is for my own well-being and sanity. I am rather negative outside of these short videos, and so forcing myself to tone it down as much as possible is definitely doing me good. So, regardless of what is possible to discern by reading between the lines of what I'm saying, I definitely do prefer to just talk about things that I like and mostly focus on what I want to include into my own storytelling and how I want to craft my own tales. And yes, it is definitely a process of me going through things that I am not exactly happy with in other stories and making sure that said elements will not appear within my own writing. But I don't want to talk about that. I wouldn't do anything else. And I also definitely do not want to suggest that my likes and dislikes of others' work make whatever I am capable of creating any better. That would be insane considering the type of names I occasionally use as examples of certain character traits within stories or certain scenarios being used by other authors. So I wanted to clarify this mostly for myself to once again remind myself of what is the goal of me creating this channel and what do I want to achieve by recording these talks. And with that said, I'm moving on. The rapid arrows are in danger. Flames are everywhere. A phone call from a store outside to the firefighters department is going to ensure that help will come, but for now the stairs are blocked by the flames and people are beginning to panic. Fortunately, the firemen are there to save the day, accompanied by the quintessential siren. They swiftly begin the evacuation, directing everyone to leave the building. They are going to rescue everyone who was at home at the time of the fire starting from the first two floors using the extension ladders, but in the case of our heroes on the third floor are going to have to jump into the life nets. First goes Mirek, who receives instructions on how to jump properly, legs stretched to the front and land on their back. Mirek's attempt goes smoothly and the firefighters skillfully catch him with the net. The rest follows right after, and the boys watch from the sidelines as they are bringing the fire under control. One lighter moment within the disaster is that they've learned how to properly jump into life nets in situations like this. And afterwards, a chase is going on. Two boys are running away from three older, bigger ones. They notice the rapid arrows on the street and seek shelter, which they are obviously given. The pursuers leave, but not before they give a warning that they will just catch them next time. After that, the two boys introduce themselves as Chenda and Standa, and they express gratitude for the timely rescue. Then they also explain why they were being chased. Apparently, they came upon a book that contains some sort of a secret, a hint that points towards some kind of a treasure. So they lead the rapid arrows to their hiding place where the book is. Unbeknownst to them, they are being followed by those three boys from earlier. In the book is a story of someone who was really passionate about some kind of a hobby, but unfortunately his family forbid him from pursuing it further, and thus he had to give it up. So before leaving for foreign lands, he decided to bury the remains of his interest and create this sort of a treasure hunt for whoever finds the book. But so far it resisted all the attempts that the boys threw at it to figure out its secrets. So Mirek is going to borrow the book. The Rapideros are going to examine it thoroughly in their club room, and the next day they will meet up again to share the results with the two original owners. When they are leaving, though, Mirek is carrying the book under his arm, and one of the three boys who were chasing the young duo waiting in front of the shed slips it from underneath him, and they began running. So this time the hunters turned into being hunted, with Speedy at the helm leading the charge, living up to his name. After running for some time, the three boys are attempting to get away by any means necessary, even going down some logs propped up against the quay by the river. The rapid arrows are going right after them, with Mirek willing to go to any lengths to capture the boys and retrieve the book, with Speedy comparing his own ride down the log to an inchworm as the three boys realize that their pursuers are gaining on them. They decide for an act of desperation and pettiness. If they can't have the book, no one can. So the one carrying it throws it onto the body of a living truck. Mirek using the famous line, "How dare you do something evil when you are evil?" The boys try to catch up to the truck, but it seems to be impossible. So Mirek attempts to borrow a bicycle from a boy leaning onto it next to the road. So he asks him for it, and as a collateral, he leaves the rest of the rapid arrows back there. But even with a bike, luck seems to be avoiding them today, because the traffic stops him dead in tracks and the truck seemingly disappears. Last thing he can do now is to call the firm the truck belongs to and hope for the best. Well, the phone call connects, and after a ride, one rather jovial driver returns the book with a huge smile. So both him and the boy who borrowed Mirek his bike receive great gratitude, and then it's finally time for the book to reveal its mysteries. The boys are going to try to detach the cover using steam, but that doesn't work. The quote unquote pages there are empty, but as it turns out, the steam did reveal something. It highlighted certain letters in the text, and when put together into sentences, they form a guide to where the treasure had been buried before its previous owner was forced to leave. Everyone is ready for an adventure. Speedy is doing handstands out of sheer joy, endangering everyone around him. And the next day, they venture forth with shovels, following the proverbial breadcrumbs and the flow of the black stream that leads them towards a rock formation closely resembling a human's head, where the supposed treasure is buried. And after some digging, Speedy reclaims a box that turns out to be full of old and valuable coins, which explains the heavy heart that the previous owner was leaving these behind with. And after that, the last step is to give the collection to the two boys who discovered the book. They were left behind because such young boys would not be able to keep up with the arrows, but still deserved the riches, at least according to our paragons of justice. And during the handover, Mirek just reminds the boys that if they do choose to sell the collection, they could at least buy something useful with the money they receive for that. And this is where I'm going to stop. More story crafting next time, and another trip for the rapid arrows in the next video.